The following is a special presentation of iRacing on LSRTV, your home for sim racing.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to LSRTV as we get ready for the second round of the Bootleg Racing League Outlaw Modified Series, hitting the racetrack here in Oxford, Maine, at a very tight 3/8-mile racetrack. Randy Chinitz, Justin Rosenau, and Cisco Scaramuza bring you all the action in this one tonight. Justin, this little oval here up in Maine, up in the northeast of the United States, is very, very difficult, basically turning left the entire way around this place.
A very small 3/8, in fact, and Oxford Plains, originally a half-mile track, 70 feet wide, and about 12 degrees banking on both ends of the racetrack. And you are right, Randall, it is basically a circle with how short the straightaways are and just how long these corners are on this 3/8-mile track. And we certainly look to see guys clipping the curb, and it's basically going to be a battle of survival pretty much at this racetrack here this evening.
Now, of course, this is the Bootleg Racing League. They do more than just these modifieds, just what we broadcast here on LSR-TV. Donnie Moore and J.R. Shepard, they won the previous two races. Donnie in the street stocks and J.R. Shepard in that limited late model series. So definitely good to see that some of these guys in this championship, Justin, are sort of multi-talented. They can run some different cars here in this series.
Yes, they can, and it's, you know, these are the best of the best. It's an invite-only series here at the BRL Outlaw Modified Series. These guys, certainly the best that the Bootleg Racing League has to offer, and it's going to be put down on the track here this evening. And Charlie Kuzma was the winner of last week's race, and J.R. Shepard coming in second as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, because they don't qualify in this series, Randall. They invert the top 10 on race results from the previous week. So Charlie Kuzma going to have to start deep in the field here this evening.
That's one of the big things about this championship. When we broadcast it last season, we saw a lot of people who were quick and have to run their way through up towards the front of the field. And a lot of times what decides this championship, Justin, it's not how many races you can win. It's when you start on those sort of off weeks after you potentially win a race or finish second, have one of those good finishes, how far up the field you can get in 100 laps to get as many points as you can. It's not when you start good out in front. It's when you start sort of in the mid-pack or even deeper in the recovery drive that usually comes with.
Indeed, indeed. And looking at the practice times here as we get ready to roll over to the race grid here in about 30 seconds or so. J.R. Shepard, Stefan Alphonse, John Holcomb leading the way, all in the 14.7-second bracket. Donnie Moore just turned a lap in fourth place here in practice at a 14.797. So 4 cars in the 14.7 bracket as we get ready to throw the green flag.
So, 15 seconds left of practice, and then we will begin gridding the cars here tonight for LSR-TV. Should be an exciting race. It was a very green race when we did this last season. Was certainly a fun one as well, and even with a track here like at Oxford that is very difficult to set up passes on due to the short straightaways, it was still a very, very racy racetrack, likely due to the format of this championship. As that timer now ticks down to 0, we are going to take a quick look to the starting grid here in just a moment on LSR TV. Well, now that we have that, we are going to go down it. So on the front row, it's going to be Matt Chinosky and Eric Nordhoff, who start this one, with Jay Harned and Kenny Kibbe on road number 2. Stefan Alphonse will roll out your top 5.
Donnie Moore, John Holcomb, 6th and 7th. J.R. Shepard, Charlie Kuzma, 8th and 9th. And Brian Den going to sneak into the top 10, one of the top 10 from last week. Not here with us this evening. 11th on back going to be Mike Ellen, Todd Liston, John Hain, Lowell Jewell, and Jeff Sharp, completing the 15-car field here at the Oxford Plains Speedway.
15 cars making up the field tonight here at Oxford. Expect this to be a very interesting event. And one thing that we need to talk about, Justin, it is very cool today up here in Maine. Overcast, 83 degrees Fahrenheit. Not too, it's relatively humid, actually 64%. So it's going to be relatively cool track temps due to that overcast cloud cover. That's going to make these cars very quick and should, at least for these guys, aid in keeping the tires on them.
For the beginning of the racetrack, indeed, you are correct in that, but the water greens in the air going to prove once the track starts to heat up, once we start the green flag with these guys going underway, that inside lane is going to get real slick. Guys going to have to move upstairs here once they get rubber down later in the racetrack.
Let's see what happens. Round number 2 from the Bootleg Racing League Outlaw Modified Series. It's itself set to go green flag racing at Oxford Plains. We thank you for joining us here on LSRTV, and we are excited to watch 100 laps around this tight little 3/8 mile bull ring. iRacing Mustang safety car gets ready to duck to the inside, get down towards pit road, and Matt Chinosky, he is going to bring us to green flag. We are racing here at Oxford Plains. Your top 2 get single file quickly. Rest of your field 2 by 2.
Battle for third on the back straightaway. Going to be the 44. Jay Harnett going to sneak by into the third spot, leaving the door open to bring along the 13 of Stefan Elfons, now sneaking into the 4th spot. And if you're on that outside lane, that's not where you want to be when the green flag drops. Or yet again on the restart, one car sideways, gathering it back in. Everybody keeps it going, and we're going to stay green for now as they're 3 wide back in the field.
As Brian Dino, we saw get a little bit of a spin there, involved with Charlie Kuzma, last week's winner, but everyone's going to keep it more or less pointed forward. Doesn't look like there's anyone with big damage, so we're going to stay green, working lap number 3 of 100 in this event tonight. Matt Chinosky still working out in front with Eric Nordoff not far behind. Jay Harnett is in that 3rd spot with Stefan Alphonse and John Holcomb, your top 5. Not too many movers up amongst that group. John Holcomb, though, he's up 2, likely picking off a couple of those people that started on the outside like you talked about, Justin. And as I look at the top 7, 8, 9 drivers, a lot of those drivers that were starting up near the top 5 have fallen down near the tail end of the top 10. They're people who started on those outer rows.
Indeed, the top 7 are broken away, single file on the racetrack right now, and they're going to be the 69 of John Holcomb, trying to take advantage of the 13 of Stefan Elfons. He stepped out a little bit. In fact, one car up the hill in front of them, the 44 of Jay Harnett. He's running high, wide, and handsome, and that's opened the door for Stefan Elfons. Elfons now digging hard on the inside, they're wheel to wheel at the stripe. Give it to the 44 of Jay Harnett for 3rd at the line that time by, but Elfons with the advantage coming up at turn number 2, and he will secure the spot coming through 3 and 4.
Can Stefan get there, though? He is going to get clear, but the 44 is going to get turned. Jay gets turned down in towards the apron, and that's actually down near pit road, so that's going to be off your racing surface, and we're going to stay green. He merges back up onto the racetrack, manages to keep a high enough speed that we're going to stay in this one, and that pretty much is going to be here, Justin, the end of the number 44 car tonight, unless we get a very quick caution here. Those tires are going to be absolutely dead. He needs to hopefully get a yellow here so that he can potentially cool those off, but he's about 10 seconds back, and these guys are only doing about 14-15 second lap time, so not very good when you're 2/3 of a lap down with 90 laps to go.
Indeed, and there are no tire changes here in the BRL Outlaw Modified Series, so he's stuck with what he's got. He's got a little bit of flat spot he's going to have to work off there as the race gets going, but again, tough luck for Jay Harnett. Going to go from basically 4th all the way down to the last spot in 15th. Right now, the top 3 are broken away, separating from the 2nd group of 3 cars, led by the 26 of Donnie Moore, John Holcomb right there, trying to find a way around the 26 of Donnie Moore. J.R. Shepard right there in the 98, starting to slowly work his way up to the pack. Started 8th, now up to 6th, bringing along the 16 and Charlie Kuzma with him, just about a car length off the back of Shepard.
Oh, and your race leader, Matt Chinosky, clips one of those inside curves here at Oxford Plains. It's one of the things that is always something you need to watch. Most racetracks, short asphalt racetracks around the United States, you have an apron down there on bottom. Here, it's a little bit different, Justin. It's almost like a road course. You have an elevated curb that if these guys hit, it's going to completely ruin the weight distribution in these cars. They're going to shove a bunch of weight onto that right rear tire, and then that's basically going to try to spin the car around. Double Zero did a good job to hold on to it, but we've seen mistakes here in the past here on LSRTV of people clipping that and not getting away with it.
Indeed, the theory of these modifieds is low, light, and left. When you get that weight to the right, it will deeply upset the chassis. Right now, Matt Shanoski has a rear view mirror full of the 22 Eric Nordoff. Nordoff trying to find a way around Shanoski, and Shanoski doing a good job covering up for now, but everybody's starting to gather in on the back bumper of Shanoski. I counted 5 cars for now, another 3 or 4 trying to join the battle as well. Nordoff almost clipped the curb a little bit, opening the door for Alphonse. Alphonse has about a half a car wing below Nordoff that time by, but Nordoff going to close the door in 1 and 2.
Nothing really going just yet. It's still one big long train of cars, really. The only driver we've seen had a major incident was that 44 of Jay Harnett. He's doing a good job, though, actually, is Jay. He's sort of already made up about a second of that disadvantage. He's working about a tenth to half a tenth quicker every single time around this racetrack than your race leader. So Shanoski maybe not quite having the pace. In towards 3 and 4, Nordhoff going to close out that gap. I thought the 13 of Stefan may have had a little bit of an opportunity, but indeed he did not, as they worked themselves through 1 and 2 for the first, or 19th time, excuse me, as we're coming up on 1/5 distance in this race. Stefan Alphonse going to have a little bit of a peak in towards 3 and 4, but yeah, nothing going. You really do have to move someone out of the way, I think, to make a move here, Justin, as these guys still continue to fight coming off down the back straightaway.
Shaping up to be the Bowman Gray Stadium of the North right here, right now, as indeed the 00 of Shanoski has about 7, 8, 9 cars making a whole train of people behind them as they're all stuck behind each other in a train. The 69 of John Holcomb took a peek to the inside of the 26 of Donnie Moore. Donnie Moore going to close the door once again. Alphonse trying to make a move for second. Nothing doing that time by into turn number 3. Still single file in a big train as the field works its way into turns number 1 and 2.
J.R. Shepard in the background. He's working the back of the 69 car of John Holcomb, sort of harassing that rear view mirror. Look to the outside in 1 and 2. Didn't have anything of it. Managed to get himself back down in line, though. But I've not actually seen one of these Outlaw Modified Series races go like this, Justin. Is the first time that I've really seen pretty much the entire field stacked up behind that race leader. It really is 14 cars all nose to tail right now. Normally we get sort of 4, 5, 6 car groups that break away from one another, and some will separate, and you know, there'll be about a half lap to 3/4 lap separation throughout the entire field. Here it really is just a single train of cars all the way around the racetrack.
Indeed it is, and everybody's starting to try to get a little bit sporty. These laps tend to start bleeding together a little bit as we're on lap number 25, almost a quarter distance in the books here on the 100 lap distance here in Oxford Plains Speedway. And Matt Shanoski still with the race lead, Eric Nordoff second, Stefan Alphonse in third, Donnie Moore in fourth, John Holcomb fifth, J.R. Shepard sixth, Charlie Kuzma in the 7th spot, John Hain in the 8th spot, 9th to Brian Dane, and Kenny Kibbe rounds out the top 10 for now. And Kibbe trying to get a little sporty, trying to go the long way around of the 23 car of Brian Den, and nothing doing that time by through 1 and 2. Kibbe's going to have to close the door, as I believe the 59 of Mike Allen starting to work his way up to the back bumper of that 14 car.
People are starting to get a little bit racy here as the field gets stacked up. Eric Nordoff had a little bit of a peak on your race leader, Matt Shanoski, last time in towards 1 and 2, and Matt really does leave that door open. So if the 22 car gets a little bit of a run, look for that yellow machine to potentially just leap down the inside and perhaps make a move. If the field works themselves down the front straightaway, you see Eric just looking to that inside, nothing going just yet. Matt hasn't made a big enough of a mistake, but look at that mid-corner speed, the 00, not quite able to take it. Nordoff gets a run, but once again, nowhere near close enough to make a move. They work through corners number 3 and 4, coming to the beginning of lap number 30 of 100, and this time Shanoski wisely shuts that gap down to the inside.
Indeed, Shanoski, one of the slower cars in practice. In fact, the second slowest time on the board in the practice session by just 1/1000th of a second over the 87 of Todd Liston, who's running back in the 13th spot right now. So Shanoski using that advantage of starting on the pole, still holding on to it. Eric Nordoff started on the outside of the front row, found a way to hold on to that second spot. And Alphonse trying to get sporty, started 5th up to 3rd and took a peek to the inside that last time by down the backstretch. And now through turn 2 again as we head down the backstretch one more time. That 22 of Eric Nordoff, Randy, is starting to drift a little wide coming out of 2. That might be an innocent spot here once we get about another 10-20 laps or so.
definitely could be, and that's the big talking point in these modifieds. We've gone 33 laps thus far, caution free. As I say that, we get a car around coming off corner number 2. That's Mike Allen. We saw him trying to make some moves earlier on. He just had a little bit of a half spin, got it going back forward, and take a look at that. That's one of the mistakes we talked about earlier, Justin. He just put that left front tire right up on top of that curb, and the weight distribution was like, nope, you have fun facing the wrong way.
Oh, big trouble out of 4. Big trouble out of 4. The 22 at Eric Nordoff around off the front bumper of Stefan Alphonse, and that's going to bring up our first caution flag of the evening.
Bit of a stack up here. I think that Eric was trying to make a move to the outside, and, well, he tried to tuck himself back down in line and kind of tried to make a move up high, and he tried to sort of do that while not having any penalty for making that move. It was going to be one of those situations where if he couldn't make that move stick, then he was definitely going to lose that second spot 100%. He tried to get it back down in line. He ended up facing the wrong way, and about 3 or 4, I think we may have had 5 cars, I think, get a piece of that one, and it's most notably Nordhoff, and who's the other car that actually ended up facing the wrong way? Donnie Moore in the 26, the other car, who ended up a big loser in that one.
Indeed, scattered, smothered, and covered is what my friend Wesley Outland says when they get stacked up like that. And boy, were they ever scattered, smothered, and covered on that turn 4 side of the racetrack. And as we are underneath the first caution flag of the evening here as we complete lap number 36 of 100. And whew, these guys finally starting to get a breath, and so can we, Randy.
Driver I'm really interested in watching now that we're going to be getting sort of a field restacking here, Justin, is going to be that number 44 of Jay Harnett. He's going to be rolling off in that 13th spot, so he's going to be a little bit deep in the field, but he's going to be on that optimal line down on the inside. He reeled in about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds of that disadvantage over the course of that run, so that number 44 car is bad fast. I'd expect for him to run through this field relatively quickly, likely get to the top 5 before this one's over, assuming it stays green.
Lights are out on the pace car field, getting doubled up and reassembled. J.R. Shepard going to be the guy that I'm going to keep an eye on this restart. In fact, it looks like he may move up to the outside row. So give it to Charlie Kuzma, last week's winner. He's got that preferred inside line as the field gets set to take the green.
Field's going to head off now towards the front straightaway, and the 00 Machinoski will bring us back to green flag racing as they roar off down in towards corners number 1 and 2. Fighting up and down the field right now, side by side from second on back. That's going to be the 69 of John Holcomb, who is desperately not trying to not let Stefan Alphonse get back down to that inside groove. 69 machine will have that second spot at the line. Take that back. No, actually, yes, he will. Hold it by 1,000ths of a second. Thought the 13 machine might have had it. 69 Holcomb eventually gets clear of Stefan, and now the closest fight out in front is going to be between the 98 of J.R. Shepard, that 16 of Charlie Kuzma, who tags the 13 of Alphonse. He goes around in another car spinning in the back. That's John Hine.
Yep, and 75 with John Hine going to spin it down to the inside. We stay green for now, and meanwhile the doors open. The 23 of Brian Dane now inside the Stefan Alphonse as those two cars working side by side. That time by, it's going to be a battle for that 4 spot. Alphonse had it over Brian Dane at the line, and now Den going to settle into that traffic as everybody gets back going. The 26 of Donnie Moore going to be right in the way of this battle as Matt Shinoski still holds about a half-second lead over the 69 of John Holcomb.
Does have lap traffic in front of him, though. Does that 00, and it's an old rival. The 22 machine of Eric Nordoff is now holding up your race leader just a little bit. You see a bit of damage on the front of that car as they roll through 1 and 2, and this is one of the difficult things here at Oxford Plains. If you're a lap car, it can be very tricky to try to get yourself out of the way and let drivers through. You don't want to be someone who holds up the field for a long period of time, Justin, but because of the single groovedness of this racetrack, it's difficult to try to run that top side even off pace.
Indeed, that's allowed the 69 of John Holcomb to close up on the back bumper. It's going to have to be make your own way time if you're the 69 of John Holcomb. He may have to lay the wood to the 00 of Shinoski, who's opened up about a half a car length now since they settled in. Once again, the gap is back up to about 0.3 of a second. Give it about another car length back to the 16 of Charlie Kuzma, who's just biding his time and playing the long game here as we're coming up on the halfway mark as we put 46 laps in the books. We are now at 53 laps to go here in the 100 lap feature here at Oxford Plains.
You mentioned that 69 machine of Holcomb might maybe having to move Shinosky out of the way. If you're that 00, how long do you potentially wait and get held up by that number 22 car before you move him out of the way? Because he is laps down and you're fighting for the race lead. There's sort of certain respect and sportsmanship that you should show to the leader, even if blue flags are notification only to make you aware that those are leaders behind you. It usually is just good sportsmanship to generally get up and get out of their way, especially when Nordhoff, especially someone in his situation, there's no one around him. But that said, he is fighting for a lead lap position.
Indeed, he actually is on the lead lap, 15 seconds in arrears to the leader, who happens to be just behind him. So lap pace is down to about 14.4, 14.3, somewhere in there, as we're coming up on the halfway mark this time by, as we'll give you a full field rundown. Matt Shinosky still your leader, the 69 of John Holcomb in second, Charlie Kuzma third, Brian Dane in fourth, Stefan Alphonse in fifth, J.R. Shepard in sixth, Lowell Jewell up to seventh, Kenny Kibbe eighth, ninth to the 73 of Jeff Sharp. Mike Allen rounds out your top 10. Todd Liston, Jay Harnett, John Hain, Eric Nordhoff, and Donnie Marr is your only car 2 laps down in 15th.
Donnie is part of this lead lap group as well. He's currently fourth in line. It would be fifth in line technically if you count that 22 car of Eric Nordhoff. So that number 26 machine on the inside, he's not part of this lead fight as well. But that is one thing to sort of notice, that even though Shinosky is sort of locked onto the rear of Eric Nordhoff, he doesn't seem to be losing much in terms of speed here. And it's still that situation where you have one big line of cars. They're all quietly moving their way through the field. One driver I mentioned that I wanted to watch, 44, who we saw get spun around early on. He has been unable to really run his way through the field as quickly as I would have expected. Currently sitting in the 12th spot. He's actually the last car running in line, so going to be interesting to see how he can recover. And of course, that 13 is Stefan Alphonse, one of the cars involved in the incident. He's gotten himself back into a top 5 position.
Indeed, he's hanging on right there. Lowell Jewell, J.R. Shepard going to be right behind the 13 of Alphonse. Meanwhile, I did notice that one of the cars did take a step out of line. I believe that was the 26 of Donnie Moore. And in fact, I believe that Alphonse, indeed, one car actually behind them, going high, wide, and handsome. I believe that would be the 14 of Kenny Kibbe. He's working the outside, and he's actually making traction, Randy. He's to the outside of the 98 of J.R. Shepard, now on the back straightaway.
The tires start to go away. You definitely can make the outer line work here at Oxford Plains. It can just be really difficult. You need to really pinch the drivers down on entry and on exit. 14 of Kenny Kibbe, not really quite able to do so. The 98 of J.R. Shepard is, well, not an individual that's going to allow himself to get pinched down to the bottom relatively easily. And the 14 of Kenny Kibbe is leaving about a foot or so of racetrack between himself and the 98, showing very good restraint in terms of pinching him down. But because of that, we're getting good side-by-side racing here, and J.R. not quite able to get around that 14 car. So that 14 machine of Kibbe, if he can finally piece it together and maybe get a little bit more aggressive, I think he might be able to make a move here.
Indeed, Kibbe got around the 5 of Lowell Jewell a few laps before we caught him to the outside there. Alphonse going to be next in line. It looks like Shepard hanging on to that spot for now. He has the opening, Kibbe does, to the inside. Elects not to take it. He seems like he's got the car hooked up on the high side, although Alphonse's car starts to look like it's going to go away in front of them. This may get hot and heavy here just before too long, as we're already going to be 61 in the books this time by, and still that 22 of Eric Nordhoff still hanging on to the lead lap, but he's got about a car length separating him between himself and your race leader, Matt Shinosky.
Shinosky is still sort of locked behind the 22 of Nordhoff. And then, of course, you have Holcomb, Kuzma, Donnie Moore in line as well. Brian Dean running in that 4th spot. Stefan Alphonse in 5th. Kenny Kibbe is still latched to the outside. That 98 machine of J.R. Shepard. So those guys seem to be pretty much unwavering in their ability to run side by side. It's interesting to me here, Justin, is the fact that they're not only running side by side, but they're running side by side and maintaining pace with the cars in front of them. Normally you'd expect with those guys going wheel to wheel that the other guys out in front to just sprint away and open up a huge gap. That kind of, I think, potentially shows you how quick the 14 and the 98 car are. The fact that they can just sit there like that and turn lap on lap and match the likes of Stefan Alphonse and Brian Dean out in front.
Indeed, Kibbe working high, wide, and handsome. Next up in his sights, the 13 of Stefan Alphonse. Again, this battle going to happen just outside the top 5. In fact, it is a battle for the 5th spot. I say outside the top 5 because we have 2 cars in this pack that are almost a lap down and laps down. Alphonse gets loose on a 2. That's going to allow the 14 of Kibbe to take the spot away. Move Kibbe now into the top 5.
So everyone working their way through. Kibbe doing a good job. Now he's going to start working on the outside of the next driver in line. It's going to be the 23 of Brian Dean. That 14 car has done a good job up to the top. How many spots can you really expect to pick up running out there? You see the 98 of J.R. Shepard. He's sort of thinking of going the long way around on the 13 of Stefan Alphonse as well. Kenny not quite able to get there yet, but he's getting, I think, about an inch or so of overlap just barely on the turn-ins to the corners. Sort of stretches back out when they get back on the throttle and pick it back up and get up to speed. John Holcomb is still lashed to the rear to Matt Shinovsky, of course, as we're approaching 30 laps to go here. Justin, I really think with the raceability of this racetrack right now, and who out in front is going to be able to hook up that top side and make a move stick on Matt Shinovsky?
I think Kibbe's showing him how it's done. It's the outside of Brian Den right now, and Den down on the bottom getting held up a little bit by the 26 of Donnie Moore. He's 2 laps down. The lap traffic starting to become a factor in this one as Kibbe's worked himself into the top 5 looking for more. He's to the outside of Den for 4th. Meanwhile, Shinovsky opens the door just a hair for John Holcomb, and he's going to shut the door on him down the back straightaway, and now it looks like the 22 of Eric Nordoff starting to get a little loose. He stepped it down to the inside, gathered it back in front of your leader, Matt Shinovsky. Shinovsky trying to find a way around lap traffic, and he needs to do so if he wants to hold off and hang on for the win.
And even talking about these race leaders, we mentioned the fact that Shinovsky, even though he's led the entire way out in front pretty much here, Justin, he's been relatively patient behind the rear there of that 22 of Eric Nordoff. Compare that to potentially like the John Holcomb, maybe even Charlie Kuzma. If someone manages to sling a move on that 00 of Matt Shinovsky, if you're Eric Nordoff, I don't think there's any way you can expect that driver that would then re-inherit that race lead to be anywhere near as patient as 00 has been behind that 22.
Oh, trouble off of turn number 2. We got Kibbe sideways. He's going to collect the 98 of J.R. Shepard. Shepard going to be slow on the racetrack. We stay green for now, but it looks like a little bit of net code, possibly Kibbe getting sideways off of turn 2 that last time by. That's going to shake everything up and move Stefan Alphonse back inside the top 5.
And Kibbe not going to be excited about that, as well as the 98 of J.R. Shepard. Those are both contacts, and in fact, the 98 is going to come down towards pit road and use a reset there, and actually seems like we actually stay green.
Indeed, indeed, and I do see that the Nordoff machine, the number 22, has fallen by the wayside. Shinovsky has clear of racetrack in front of him. Let's take our focus back to the top 3. Meanwhile, Charlie Kuzma trying to get sporty, trying to find a way around the second place runner, the 69 of John Holcomb. And I see Kuzma's trying to take a little bit wider arc down into turn number 3, trying to free the car up, center off, and it looks like Shinovsky still holds about a half a car length advantage, and it seems to be trying to put the power down straightaways, Randy, and he seems to be holding on just long enough. I think that pole position may indeed help him here in the later stages of the race, but as I say that, we're coming up 20 to go here in about 2 laps or so.
Be 21 to go when they come across the timing being next time through. Only 1 caution thus far the entire evening. We somehow avoided one with that last little incident. It's really shaken up the field and separated out your leaders. It's right now as they run Shinovsky, Holcomb, Kuzma, Dean, and Alphonse, the top 5. I believe we still have the 26 of Donnie Moore still involved in this lead fight. Indeed we do. He is the 5th car in line there on your screens. So everyone needs to be somewhat aware of that as the drivers work themselves around for another lap here at Oxford Plains. We're now inside the final 20 laps of action.
Inside of 20 to go, and then Matt Shinovsky has led from the drop of the green flag. He's wired the field thus far. 69 of John Holcomb still in second, although Shinovsky seems to be accelerating a little bit. He's back into the 15-4-second bracket. Meanwhile, Holcomb looking about 15.5-2 that last time by for the 69 of Holcomb. So Shinovsky is turning about a 1/10 of a second per lap faster than your second place runner, John Holcomb. Maybe Shinovsky was just biding his time until late in the race and he decides to use it up now.
This is one of the big strategy points about this sort of short track racing, isn't it, Justin? The fact that you're talking about 100 laps of action. We've seen in the past people who can run their way through the field quickly, and then they pretty much burn their stuff up and have no way to advance their way forward through the end of the race. That's one of the it's one of the reasons they use this sort of quote-unquote qualifying format, isn't it? To really sort of make those guys who are quick push, potentially burn their stuff up after they win the races, and, well, potentially end up getting them starting out in front on the sort of good weeks when they maybe get stuck in that mid-pack.
As we say, Shinosky was putting down a fast lap. I think Holcomb and Kuzma both responded. They're both in the 15.4-second bracket now, nose to tail with the race leader, Shinosky. Shinosky now putting lap number 86 in the books. Going to be 14 to go that time by. 13 to go when we see the stripe next time around. And it's pretty much a dogfight through the top three. Who's going to be the first one to blink and make a mistake and open the door for one another? Kuzma right there in third, trying to double up from last week's win at the Langley Motor Speedway down in Virginia.
Going to take a late apex out of corner number 2, and the 69 of John Holcomb gets loose. They should give the 16 machine that second spot, and indeed he does. So Charlie Kuzma trying to make it 2 in a row, and he's going to inherit that second spot, and he's going to have about a half a second, and he has to try to reel in over that 00 of Matt Shinosky that last time through, even avoiding that spinning number 69. The 16 of Kuzma was slightly quicker than your race leader in the 00. Kuzma might just be able to get there and potentially make a move, but with that said, he lost half a tenth last cycle round.
The gap about 0.6 of a second. We'll call it about 4 car lengths that time by down the back straightaway and make it 3 now in turns 3 and 4. This time by will be 10 laps to go for Matt Shinosky. He's got 90 in the books under his belt, needs to put together another 10 perfect circuits. Meanwhile, Charlie Kuzma trying to dig deep and double up. He's got the gap down now to about a half a second. He's closed about a car length of distance that last time around. This time by, it's going to be 0.4 at the line. Kuzma closing in on your leader, but he needs to get something done and done in a hurry.
00 Shinosky, a little bit of a wiggle coming off corner number 2. The 16 of Charlie Kuzma kept those 4 tires in good enough shape to be able to reel in Matt Shinosky in the closing stages. This time through again, a little bit of time goes in favor of Charlie Kuzma, down to 0.3 of a second exactly. The line that last time through, and now there's pretty much nothing in it. Look at the line that Kuzma is running here, Justin. We've not seen anyone run this late apex line pretty much all night as we're approaching 5 laps to go.
Indeed, 5 laps to go coming up here in about another lap or so. Going to be 6 to go at the line this time by Randy. Shinosky has a rear deck lid full of the 16 of Charlie Kuzma. Kuzma going to do that late apex outside inside maneuver, trying to get the advantage as they drag race down the back straightaway. Shinosky going to close the door in turns 3 and 4.
00, don't look for him to not leave any door open. The 16 of Kuzma is going to look to the outside. Nothing going there. Going to try to cut it back, try to get a big head of steam. It's under 0.2 of a second. The gap now is pretty much irrelevant. It's all about where did that 16 car feel he can show the nose. A little bit loose there through the center of 3 and 4. With 4 laps remaining, you need to be absolutely picture perfect as the 00 is starting to stretch that gap.
Indeed, Kuzma really loose off of turn number 4 that last time by. This time around, it'll be 3 to go for the 00 of Shinosky. Shinosky with about a half a second gap. Call it about 0.4 that time by at the stripe. Give it about 3 car lengths is going to be the physical distance between Shinosky. Next time around for Shinosky, going to be double popsicle sticks in the air.
2 laps remaining here at Oxford Plains, and Matt Shinosky has led for 98 of 100 laps. Coming now halfway through the 99th one, and he's going to be seeing that white flag in just a moment. The 16 machine of Charlie Kuzma looked like he might have had something, and he might just have a little bit more if he can find it. 3/8 of a mile left for Kuzma. Will he be able to open up this gap, or will he be able, or will Matt Shinosky be able to hold on through corners number 3 and 4 for the final time? Charlie Kuzma gave it all he's got, but Matt Shinosky is going to go flag to flag, and Kuzma can't say he wasn't trying. Sideways at the line, he goes up and over the banking in 1 and 2.
Indeed, Charlie Kuzma going to finish second. John Holcomb going to finish third. Brian Den, Stefan Alphonse going to round out your top 5. Lowell Jewell, Mike Allen, Todd Liston, Jay Harnett going to recover to get the 9th place finish here this evening. Jeff Sharp, John Hain, Eric Nornhoff, J.R. Sheppy, Kenny Kibbe, and Donnie Moore going to be your rundown thus far, as the 00 of Shinosky going to head down on the front stretch and burn it down, Randy, as he celebrates his perfection here this evening in Oxford Plains.
Go ahead and do the Alan Kulwicki move. A little bit of a Polish victory lap coming out here for Matt Shinosky, and he's going to work his way backwards around this 3/8 of a mile racetrack. One of the things I've always wondered, Justin, is in these sort of modifieds and big, you know, the fast short track cars that run all that stagger, can't be easy to do a Polish victory lap considering you're fighting against that right rear going through the banking.
Indeed, you got both front and rear stagger to worry about, along with the banking on the racetrack.
Cambers,
so he's probably got a whole
and
kind of, all kinds of stuff to counter in that race car. So I'm sure he's got to be pretty dang gone tired after pretty much going for all essential purposes. We had the one caution, yes, but I don't think he was really breathing the entire time.
No, you're definitely right about that. No one would have been breathing through the entirety of that event. As the 00 is going to come down, going to pull it into a pit box, get out of that car, begin celebrating. We're going to go down to your official post-race results. We're going to get to post-race interviews in just a moment. So Matt Chinosky in the 00 takes the big win. Charlie Kuzma rounding out that second spot. John Holcomb, Brian Dean, Stefan Alfond, your top 5. Lowell Jewell, Mike Allen, Todd Liston, Jay Harned, and Jeff Sharp. It's your top 10. Jeff Sharp will be starting on pole. Good run from him, 15th to get up to 10th. He started last tonight to be able to get a pole position. He's going to go from starting worst to starting first in 2 weeks. John Hine, Eric Nordoff, J.R. Shepard, Kenny Kibbe, and Donnie Moore, the 15 cars tonight. We're going to go into post-race coverage immediately as we have the 00 of Matt Chinosky stood by with us already. And Matt, with a big run from you in that 00 machine, 100 laps on the board, 100 laps led. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, it was easy to do it from the pole there, but it feels good. It's been a while since I've been back in victory lane, so I'll take it.
Now, talking about this racetrack here at Oxford Plains, it's very difficult to make moves. We saw late in the race Charlie Kuzma really ran his way through the field, got himself right to your rear bumper, and he's running a very odd line, sort of late apexing to try to maximize the speed advantage at the end of the straightaways, which is usually quite minimized here at Oxford Plains due to the fact that they're only about 3 inches long. How was it trying to hold off that 16 machine, given the odd line he was trying to run and the way you had to sort of, let's say, change how you were running to hold him off?
I just decided to stop looking in my rearview mirror and just concentrate on that white curb and just try to keep my left front tire on the curb and just not worry about what he's doing.
Are you going to be rolling off 10th next week, of course? You think you can be pretty good over 100 laps next week?
Well, Irwindale's not really one of my good tracks, so we'll see. We'll just try to survive that one.
Good luck running up against the wall there at Irwindale in sunny Southern California. I think everyone's excited the fact that that track still exists and didn't get turned into a shopping mall. Shout-outs to not being able to find an anchor store. But to you, Matt, before we let you go, shout-outs, who would you like to thank? After 27 minutes nearly of action tonight, you come home with a big win.
27 minutes seems like an hour and 27 minutes. I just want to thank Lowell and all the racers and well, most of the racers in the Bootleg Racing Group, and you guys are doing a great job with your broadcast, so just keep it up. Thank you.
So, big winner at the 00 of Matt Chinosky. Next in line, Justin. He's going to be stood by with the man who almost went back-to-back. He's got the 16 of Charlie Kuzma.
Go low.
And talking now with your second place finisher, Charlie Kuzma. Charlie, you did everything you could there in the late going. You were able to sneak around the 69 of John Holcomb. How much did you have left in it? Because it looked like you were all kinds of crossed up sideways and about dirt tracking that thing in the line.
Yeah, that's a pretty accurate statement. I bet you take a look at the rear tires on this thing and there's a cord showing. With about 10 to go, and I really started to reel Matt in there. And got around John. I said, all right, the line, I was running a little bit different line. I was able to get a whole lot of speed coming down the straightaway and kind of, toss it in and did everything but put the bumper to him in the corner a couple times. And got crossed up once, fell back a few car lengths, and was just hoping that he'd make a mistake in the last corner and I could get to him, and hence me getting a little squirrely there at the end. But yeah, Matt and John both drove a great race, and that was a lot of fun. Listen, I'll take this second place, and I'll consider it a win because started 10th, and at a place like this where it's so difficult to pass, I'm okay. I'm all right with this.
Almost doubled up. We'll go back to that outside in maneuver you was trying to put on there. Was it Kenny Kibbe in the 14? He was kind of showing you guys on the outside. You were right there with J.R. Shepard about the halfway point, and that's when he really started making some moves on the outside. Is that where you kind of got the idea to do the outside in maneuver there in the late stages?
No, to be honest with you, I didn't even notice he was doing it. I was pretty much focused on John, Matt, and then Eric in front of them, trying to stay on the lead lap or get his lap back there. was staying out of my mirror, and what it was is we were all running the same line, and I could see these guys were getting a little loose, and I'm thinking, man, if there was only a way when they get loose coming off the corner, I could get a good run on them. And I figured, let me switch it up, and I moved up about a half a lane and found a little grip, and then getting into the corner, I moved up almost a full lane, and all of a sudden it would stick, and I could drive it down and carry a lot of speed down the straightaways, or what's supposed to be a straightaway. There is no straight on this track. Yeah, it was just more so just searching around, trying to find a line, a little more grip, and knowing that I wasn't going to be able to pass those guys if I was running the same exact spot that they were.
Indeed. A great second-place finish following up your win from a week ago in Langley. Sponsor shout-outs. Who do you need to thank for your second-place finish here this evening?
I got to thank the friends and family first and foremost. I got a few of them that support this every week. It's my dad, my mom, my brother, my sister, all them down in Virginia, my wife, my kids, all that good stuff. And as far as sponsors go, thebuttonboxshop.com. And of course, you guys at LSR for what you do, and Lowell for continuing to allow us to put on a great show every week for you guys.
Indeed. Congratulations to you, Charlie, on your second-place finish. Going to start 9th a week from now, and we'll hope to see you back in victory lane again here this evening.
Yeah, thanks so much, guys.
Randy, you caught up with third-place finisher John Holcomb.
I've got John Holcomb. John, it was an entertaining race from you, 7th up to 3rd. I believe you're pretty much going to start on the same spot next week as you did this week. Going to be in the 8th position, so just slightly moved out to the outside. But at Irwindale is often where you want to be. Sure, you're happy about that.
Yeah, it was a pretty good run. I've got 3rd last 2 weeks, so I can at least call consistency.
Well, sometimes that's all you can really ask for, especially at a race here like Oxford Plains. One of the things we talked about over the course of this event was people having to keep the tires on it, and with this cool weather, at least in my experience in some of the bigger oval stuff and certainly on the road courses, the cooler weather helps you really keep those tires alive. The tires don't tend to burn off nearly as much. I know this is a fixed setup series. Does the cool weather have that same effect here?
Yeah, it really did. I mean, we had great grip earlier. The problem was I thought I still had that grip probably about 10 or 15 to go when Charlie got around me, and I gave it a little bit too much throttle, and she started to come around on me. So I did finally burn them up, but the cool weather helped definitely with the grip early in the race.
Now, we're going to be going to Irwindale next week, another fantastic racetrack in Southern California, half-mile track that a lot of people were not expecting to continue to exist in towards 2018, but with the power of myself, Hugo Louis, and Will Vincent, when we visited in December for the quote-unquote last event, news came about a week later that it wasn't actually the last event. How confident are you at that little racetrack?
It's not a bad little track. We used to actually run the inner, and I definitely choose the outer over the inner. I'll put it that way.
Well, it's all up to you from there, John. So good luck in that one at Irwindale. Before we let you go, any sponsor plugs?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to Lowell and Bootleg for putting on the series and what they do. And I want to thank you guys for what you do. And I want to thank my wife, Mindy, for supporting me. And we just hope to have another good run. Maybe I'll get to talk to you next week.
John Holcomb, everybody, 3rd place finisher. And Justin, what an exciting race. Only 1 caution. I think they've only had 2 total across 200 laps the last 2 seasons at this place.
Which is amazing, because most of the official races that you see here on the iRacing.com service at Oxford Plains tend to be more of the eye-pacing 500 is the joke that goes around. And Randy, I'm flat impressed. These guys put together a great race all evening long, and we got to see a little bit of strategy come into play with the I mean, I've been out of the game for a while, I'll be honest, but the dynamic track surface that heats up as the race goes along, the rubber gets put down, it really kind of opened up that outside lane like I was hoping it would, and we really put down some great racing here this evening in the Bootleg Racing League Outlaw Modified Series.
Indeed, we did, and it was a fantastic event. If you're not done watching content on LSRTV, be sure to not go away, because we're going to be coming at you with the USR B&C Lawn and Landscaping Truck Series. Look for an exciting race there in just a few minutes here on LSRTV. But up until then, thank you from myself, Randy Chinnitt, Mr. Justin Rosenau, and Cisco Scaramuza, who is in the production truck. We thank you for tuning in. We hope to see you next week when these little modifieds take on Irwindale. Until then, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.